Welcome to TechWire, a conversation about government, technology, and policy in California. My name is Christina Gagnier, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Cathy Cleek, the Chief Information Officer for the Franchise Tax Board. Cathy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So people might not think about the Franchise Tax Board as being a technology revolutionary, but in fact you are. You're leading this agency, and we've heard a lot about your Enterprise Data to Revenue project. Can you tell us what that's about and how that's actually bringing money back into the state budget?
I'm happy to talk about this project. The Enterprise Data to Revenue project, which we call EDR, is a 5.5-year effort that we're working in partnership with CGI. This is going to modernize our tax systems, and when the project is fully implemented, we'll bring in an additional $1 billion to the state each and every year. And that's billion with the B, not million. And currently that project, we're working on a data warehouse, we're imaging all of our correspondence and paper tax returns that come in, as well as adding web functionality through a taxpayer folder. We have brought in $240 million this year when our goal for this fiscal year was $175 million.
Well, that's great. It sounds like the project is not only changing how things happen at the Franchise Tax Board, but probably our viewers are happy to know that it's bringing money back in.
Of course. And you know, this project, we've done something that we call benefits-based procurement, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about that. Instead of paying the vendor at increments along the way based on deliverables they give us, what we do is say, let's work in partnership, and when the state gets more money, we'll give you a portion of that up to a maximum contract amount. And what this does is really create a team partnership, because the vendor and the state both need additional revenue for this project to be successful. And it's really helped us move forward together as a team and solve difficult problems that come up along the way. But all of us are working together to bring in additional revenue for the state. And I think this is a win-win, and has been a great success for FTB. We've done it 7 times, and it's worked out great 7 times.
So as a CIO, the technology is often readily available, but it's very difficult to get people to adopt that technology and implement it within your organization. Can you talk a little bit about change management and why that's so important in terms of technology adoption?
I'm happy to. In the last 20 years that I've done projects, the technology piece has gotten easier and easier to implement. But the change management piece that you're talking about has continued to be a challenging piece of every project. So I'd like to tell you about 3 things we've done at Franchise Tax Board. The first thing that we did with our Enterprise Data to Revenue project was we brought together, before this was even an idea of a project, we brought together senior management, some of our key managers, and some new managers into the department, and said, what would it be like if you could have a perfect FTB running 10 years from now? How should we head? And we took those ideas that came up in this facilitated session and came up with 14 principles that we then said, what technology is out there? How can we work to solve those problems? And we identified 6 business problems that we could work on with EDR. And what's been great about it is it hasn't been the technology folks' idea, it's been the whole management team's idea this is how we should modernize. And when it's your idea, people love to implement their idea. It's someone else's idea that's hard to accept that change. The other thing we've done once the project got up and running, we created what was called Change Champions. And Change Champions, we went out and recruited someone from all the major parts of the department, and we got 50 people. And we meet with them, and their job is to help people understand the new project that's coming, to bring up, this is what's going to happen, this is how your job's going to change. And they are also there to say, I have concerns, I have questions, and let's get information out about those things. So I want to tell you, my favorite thing that the Change Champions have done was they came up with a video. And our audit staff got up there and they talked about what it was going to be like to be a taxpayer, to be a tax rep, and to be an auditor 10 years from now. And they conclude each segment with, did you know, come to think of it, EDR was my idea. And so that shows the ownership people have gotten into this new idea. It isn't someone else's idea, it's theirs, they're making real. The other thing that was kind of fun that the Change Champions championed was at Christmas time, they put together they asked our FTB choir to put together EDR is coming to town. And they had a broadcast on our internal network so people could hear a familiar Christmas song with a few new words. And then finally, sometimes you may not have a huge project, but you want people to know about it. And we've used email and our intranet. We have a email address that's called Ask EDR, and you can send in any question, and we answer those questions and post them to a website. So people can Google and find answers to questions that they have about EDR. So those are just a few of the things that we do, and it makes a big difference because people do believe EDR is their project to modernize Franchise Tax Board, not just the technology folks' effort.
Well, it's fascinating to hear what's happening internally at the Franchise Tax Board, but with the April 15th tax deadline looming, I'm sure many of our viewers would love to know about the e-file and e-pay system. So can you share a little bit about what those are and how they might impact the average citizen?
Yeah, we really are big supporters of e-file and e-pay. About 86% of taxpayers e-file, and we have two products that are really easy to use and are free, so that's always something to like. That you can go out to FTB's website, it's called CalFile, log on, and if you filed with us before, some of your information is automatically populated into the return. You answer a few questions, hit submit, and the return's automatically accepted. So it's called CalFile, and it's a great product. There's also one called Ready Return for simpler returns. We also have something called ePay, where you can go online, give us your bank account name and number, and hit submit, and that money will come out of your bank account and pay your amount due. There's no fees, and it's free online for everyone to use. So our website has many, many things, and almost anything you can do by calling us, you can also do on the website. Even if you can't pay in full, we have installment agreements that are available online for taxpayers, and you can put in your information about how much you can pay in your bank account, and those will be automatically set up.
Seems like as a CIO that you have taken a great leadership role at your organization in making sure that when you bring in technology, it's adopted correctly and educating the people you're working with. Can you tell us a little bit about other programs like the IT Leadership Academy that help other agencies and their CIOs and people working in IT get up to speed?
Education is so important. On a personal note, both of my parents were teachers, so I fully support things that we're doing to help educate our up-and-coming leaders. And the ITLA 20 class is a great example of CIOs in the state going and spending time over a year period with some of the up-and-coming CIOs. I spent a morning with them on how to be a great IT leader and to be a CIO, and what are some of the things your customers want from you as a CIO. And the current class is a very energetic and enthusiastic class, and I know that they had information on budgeting last week and how to write a good statement of qualifications, and they have had classes on project management. And so it's a way to give back as CIOs and AIOs and help the leaders of the future so we can have successful IT here in California.
Well, it's been interesting to learn about your role at the Franchise Tax Board. It's an agency that all of us have to touch base with at least once a year. So thank you so much for joining me today, Cathy.
Thank you, Christina.
And thank you to our TechWire audience for joining us once again for a conversation about government, technology, and policy in California.